Welcome, dear listeners. I am your guide for another night filled with fright, your Mistress Midnight. Tonight, prepare for a journey into the unsettling world of dolls, where lifeless eyes hold sinister secrets. The first tale in tonight's collection is The Dollhouse.
Let me tell you about something that happened to my family a while back. We moved into this really old house. You know, creaky floors, dusty attic, the whole deal. I was excited, but also a bit creeped out because old houses can be spooky. One day, while rummaging through the attic, we stumbled upon this ancient dollhouse. It was like something out of a fairy tale, but with a twist. Each room was meticulously detailed, and there was even a tiny family of dolls inside. My little sister, Lily, fell in love with it instantly. Mom said it was probably her great-grandma's, so we decided to keep it. Strange things started happening after that. At night, we'd hear tiny, faint noises from the attic, like little footsteps and whispers. One night, I went up to check it out. The moonlight cast eerie shadows as I opened the attic door. There it was, the dollhouse. But something was off. The dolls seemed to have shifted positions, and the lights in the tiny rooms flickered. Weirded out, I shook it off as my imagination and went back downstairs. The next day, I swear the dolls had moved again. Mom suggested it was just my sister playing, but Lily swore she hadn't touched it. Things escalated when we started seeing shadows darting across the hallways at night. The whispers got louder, but we couldn't understand what they were saying. The entire family was on edge, and even our dog started acting strangely, barking at the attic door. One night, Lily woke up screaming, saying the dolls had talked to her in her dream. I went up to check the attic, and the dollhouse lights were flickering like crazy. It sent shivers down my spine. I grabbed the dollhouse and took it out to the backyard, planning to bury it. As I approached the spot, I tripped and dropped it. The impact shattered the dollhouse into pieces. Suddenly, everything went silent. Just dead silence. I thought maybe it was over, but then I heard Lily scream from inside the house. I ran to her to find out what was going on, and she told me she heard another whisper from up in the attic. She told me it said, "You shouldn't have done that." I ran up the stairs, my heart racing, and there it was. A porcelain doll, intact, sitting on the attic floor. This doll wasn't like the ones from the dollhouse. It was old, with cracked paint and empty eyes that seemed to follow my every move. Chills ran down my spine as I picked it up, its cold porcelain sending shivers through my fingers. I wanted to throw it away, but something held me back. I took it to our backyard and buried it deep, hoping that would end it. But that night, we heard soft knocking coming from my sister's room. I cautiously opened the door, and to my horror, that same doll was sitting on her bed. It was impossible, yet there it was, staring at us with those lifeless eyes. Panicked, we decided we had to get out of that house. We left the doll behind and moved out the next week, leaving behind the terrifying memories. Years later, I still wonder about that doll and the secrets it held. Sometimes I can't shake the feeling that it's still out there, waiting for someone to find it.
And now our gaze shifts to a tale from the haunted streets of New Orleans, where innocence masks a malevolent force, eager to play its sinister games. This story is simply called Giggles.
It all began during my visit to the enchanting city of New Orleans, amidst the vibrant festivities of Mardi Gras. In the early 1980s, I stumbled upon a quaint antique shop hidden within the heart of the French Quarter. Amidst a collection of forgotten treasures, my eyes were drawn to Giggles, an antique doll with an unsettling grin and glassy eyes. Intrigued by its unique charm, I knew I had to have it. The shopkeeper explained that Giggles had a mysterious history, having been passed down through generations. Captivated by its story, I acquired the doll and named it Giggles, for its whimsical appearance. Once back home, peculiar occurrences began. Giggles, as the doll was named, was, allegedly, known to giggle in the stillness of the night, its laughter echoing through the rooms. My family dismissed it, attributing it to the wind or a child's overactive imagination. But the giggles persisted and escalated. Giggles seemed to move from room to room, causing household accidents that defied explanation. My family's laughter shifted to fear, and we tried to ignore the mounting evidence of the doll's mischievous nature. One stormy night, as the rain poured outside, we heard peculiar giggling throughout the house. We followed the eerie sound, only to find Giggles sitting in the living room, the source of the unsettling laughter. Its glass eyes seemed to glimmer in the darkness. Terrified, we decided to lock the doll in the attic, hoping to put an end to the bizarre occurrences. However, the nightmare was far from over. The giggles persisted, echoing through the hallways, chilling us to our bones. Soon, Giggles began appearing in unexpected places. A hallway, a bedroom, even peering through the window at night. Its glassy eyes seemed to watch our every move. We couldn't escape the doll's eerie presence. Desperate to rid ourselves of the curse, we traveled back to New Orleans and sought out the antique shop where we had first encountered Giggles. The shopkeeper listened to our harrowing tale and agreed to take Giggles back. But as the doll left our possession, an unsettling presence seemed to linger. Even back home, the giggles continued, and the haunting memories of Giggles remained etched in our minds. To this day, we wonder if the doll's malevolent energy still haunts us, an unsettling reminder of our brush with the supernatural.
Now, we journey into the unsettling tale of a ventriloquist puppet concealing more than just a painted grin. Beware, for its wooden visage hides a malevolent spirit eager to pull the strings of its terrifying act. This story is Mr. Jankles.
Let me tell you about this creepy experience I had a while back, something that still gives me goosebumps. So, my friend Greg and I, being avid fans of all things spooky, decided to explore this old theater during its renovations. We're talking peeling paint, antique furniture, dusty curtains, and a ventriloquist puppet, Mr. Jankles, perched on a dusty shelf. Greg was all about the puppet, fascinated by its retro design. It had those glassy eyes that seemed to follow you wherever you went. The creepy factor was strong with this one. I wasn't so sure about it, but Greg, being the adventurous one, decided to give it a try. We set up a makeshift stage and Greg started doing his thing, making Mr. Jankles come to life. It was all fun and games until the puppet's mouth started moving on its own. We chalked it up to a quirky mechanism, a glitch maybe. But then the puppet began to speak without Greg even touching it.
"Hello, Greg,"
the puppet said in a voice that sent shivers down our spines. We were convinced someone was playing a prank on us, but no one else was around. Suddenly, the lights flickered and the room felt colder. Mr. Jankles continued,
"I've been waiting for so long."
We tried to stay rational, thinking it was some elaborate joke, but then things got weirder. Greg couldn't move his hand away from the puppet. It was like the puppet had a grip on him, a grip that was getting tighter. Greg's face turned pale, his eyes wide with fear. The puppet's mouth twisted into a sinister grin.
"Playtime, Greg."
It chuckled darkly. I grabbed Greg's hand, trying to pry it away from the puppet, but it was like it was glued on.
I'm not controlling it.
Greg stammered, sweat pouring down his face. Panic set in as we struggled to free Greg from Mr. Jankles' grasp. It felt like an eternity. Finally, with an agonizing tug, we managed to free Greg's hand. The puppet fell lifeless on the floor. We breathed a sigh of relief, but something still felt off. Greg had a lingering look of dread on his face. As we were about to leave, Greg suddenly froze. He whispered,
"It's here."
I turned, and there it was, the puppet, back on the shelf, its glassy eyes staring right at us. We ran out of that theater, leaving Mr. Jankles behind. We never went back, and to this day, I can't look at a ventriloquist puppet the same way. That experience was too real, too terrifying, and it left me wondering what could make a puppet come alive like that. Days turned into weeks after our haunting encounter with Mr. Jankles. Greg and I tried to carry on with our lives, attempting to suppress the disturbing memories of that night. But it seemed like the puppet had left a mark on us.
As the midnight hour wanes, dear listeners, may the haunting whispers of dolls and puppets linger in your thoughts. Until we meet again in the realm of shadows, embrace the darkness and keep your lantern of curiosity burning. Stay haunted and beware the secrets that dance in the moonlight. Good night.